Hi, this is Mr. Bledsoe, and in this video I'm going to show you a quick way to find the least common multiple of two numbers. Now, as we've already seen, one way to find the least common multiple of two numbers is to just make a list of all of the multiples of each number, like we've done here for 6 and 8, and just find the first multiple that the two numbers have in common. And I can see that in this case, that first multiple they have in common is 24. So the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is 24. Now, this is a fine method. It's very straightforward, and it will absolutely work every time. But the downside is that, depending on the numbers, it may take a while. So let's take a look at how we can use math to make this a little quicker and easier. So first, let's find the prime factorization of each of our two numbers, 6 and 8. So 6 breaks down into 2 and 3, 8 breaks down into 2 and 4, and then 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. So my prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3, and my prime factorization of 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. Now, I'm going to pretend like I don't already know that the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is 24, so I'm going to have to build my least common multiple. I'm going to put it in this box once I've got it built. And in order to build my least common multiple, I know that the number 6 has to divide evenly into the least common multiple. Or sometimes you hear people say 6 has to go into the least common multiple. Well, I could, instead of saying 6 has to go into it, I could say, well, 2 times 3 must go into my least common multiple, because 2 times 3, those are the prime factors that give me 6. Okay, so far so good. But my least common multiple also has to be divisible by 8, which means that 8 has to go into the least common multiple, which means I've got to have 2 times 2 times 2 as a part of the least common multiple, as factors in the least common multiple. Well, I can see I already have 1, 2 in my least common multiple, so I only need 2 more. In other words, I need 2 times 2, and notice now I have 2 times 2 times 2 is a part of my least common multiple, and that's where my 8 comes from. Now, if I just multiply together 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, I can see that that gives me 24, which is my least common multiple. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's try one more, and I'm going to ask you to try this one on your own before you watch how I do it. I want you to find the least common multiple of 12 and 28. So I want you to pause the video here, find the least common multiple of 12 and 28, and then start the video back and see if your answer matches mine. Okay, so I want to find the least common multiple of 12 and 28, which means I'm going to start by finding the prime factorization of 12 and 28. So using factor trees on 12, I get 3 times 4, and 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. So there's my prime factorization of 12. 28 is, let's see, 2 times 14. 14 becomes 2 and 7. All right. So 12, my prime factorization is 3 times 2 times 2. And 28, my prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 7. All right. So now I need to build my least common multiple using these two prime factorizations. All right. So my least common multiple has to have 3 times 2 times 2 in it. That gets me my 12. And then, let's see, I also have to have 2 times 2 times 7 in it. Well, I already have 2 times 2, so I just need a 7 in it, and that gives me my 2 times 2 times 7, which gives me my 28. And now I just need to multiply all of my prime factors together here. 3 times 2 is 6, times 2 is 12, and 7 times 12 is 84. So the least common multiple of 12 and 28 is 84.